And welcome to this early start of the Board of Regents meeting. Glad to have you all here. Megan, where are you? Oh, here she comes. Megan will call the roll.
Regent Adams. Regent Atwell.
Here.
Regent August. Here. Regent Brankus. Regent Cologne.
Here.
Regent Goydam.
Here.
Regent Jones. Regent Cruiser.
Present.
Regent Manydeeds.
Here.
Regent Peterson.
Here.
Regent Prince.
Present.
Regent Rye.
Here.
Regent Trainer. Regent Tyler.
Here.
Regent Underly.
Here.
Regent Walsh.
Here.
Regent Weatherly.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Are there board members who wish to declare any conflicts of interest regarding today's open session? Okay, seeing none, we'll get started with a report from the Audit Committee. And I sat in for Regent Miller yesterday chairing this committee. The Audit Committee met yesterday morning. Chief Audit Executive Lori Stortz reviewed the progress to date on the fiscal year 2024 audit plan. She noted that the largest column on the audit status chart is completed/canceled, and that she expects to bring more audit reports to the committee when we meet in June. Ms. Stortz confirmed the audit plan will be substantially finished by the end of the fiscal year, with the exception of 2 audits, which were discussed at the committee meeting. Ms. Stortz then provided a high-level summary of the results of audits recently issued by the Office of Internal Audit since our last meeting in February 2024. This included other affiliated organizations' executive summary, which had no audit comments, and that's a good thing. And the purchasing card biannual audit report for the June 24, 2023 to January 5, 2024 testing cycle. Results of this audit were consistent with prior periods. Lastly, Ms. Stortz provided an overview of the Institute of Internal Auditors' new global internal audit standards. She stated that she would bring suggested edits to the audit committee charter before the committee at a subsequent meeting. Thank you very much, and that concludes my report. And next, I will call on Regent Rye to present a report of business and finance.
Thank you, Regent President Walsh. The Business and Finance Committee acted on the agenda as follows. The committee first heard a great presentation from our host campus in which Vice Chancellor Chris Patton provided an update on steps taken to address the university's structural deficit, as well as efforts to implement the cultural transformation and budget practice necessary to secure the institution's long-term financial health. The entire committee was very engaged in the back and forth with Vice Chancellor Patton. The committee then reviewed and approved the 2024-2025 tuition and fees proposal for the University of Wisconsin, which was discussed at Universities of Wisconsin, which was discussed and adopted by the full board later that afternoon. Next, the committee approved an agreement on behalf of UW Stevens Point with Shorelight LLC, which provides services in support of the university's efforts to increase international student enrollment. UWSP is the 8th campus in recent months to adopt this approach under a new master's services agreement and is one of 7 working with Shorelight. The committee then approved an agreement with Compass Group USA for all dining services operations at UW-Whitewater. Under the terms of the agreement, UW-Whitewater will receive an estimated $3 million in commission guarantees over the life of the 7-year contract. In addition, the vendor will invest over $3.8 million to support dining program improvements and facility upgrades. Next, the chief human resource officers for both UW administration and UW-Madison presented draft policies on paid parental leave for UW employees, which under Regent policy are required to be reviewed by the board prior to implementation. The policies would provide 6 weeks of paid parental leave, with a 12-month period for the birth or adoption of a child, which is a benefit similar to that provided by many peer institutions with whom our campuses compete for employees. These policies will be released to governance groups for their comments and questions with an anticipated implementation date of July 1st, 2024. The committee then received a mid-year report on gifts, grants, and contracts awarded to all universities for the first 6 months of the fiscal year. Total awards through the last December were approximately $1.1 billion. This is a decrease of $63 million or 5.3% for the same period of the prior year and is largely attributed to differences in both federal and non-federal research awards in aggregate. Lastly, the committee received a Q4 report from the UW Office of Trust Funds. As of December 31st, assets in the SWIB managed portfolios totaled $595 million. For the quarter, the long-term fund increased in value 7.35%, performing in line with its benchmark, while the income cash fund gained 1.36% for the period. In the intermediate term fund, assets totaled $681 million after gains of 5.8% for that quarter, also performing comparably to its benchmark. In conclusion, on behalf of the Business and Finance Committee, I now move approval of resolutions F and G.
Thank you, Regent Wise. Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or discussion about the resolution? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much. The resolution passes. Right, I will now call upon Regent Weatherly to present the report of the Education Committee.
Thank you, Regent President Walsh. Yesterday, the Education Committee approved 7 degree programs, a resolution to continue test optional admissions, heard a host presentation, discussed a 5-year behavioral health initiative, and an overview of the dual enrollment task force report. We approved a UW-Madison Bachelor of Science in Dairy and Food Animal Management, which responds to students' interest in working in other industries involving food animals such as meat science, animal genetics, and nutrition, and other animal production enterprises. UW-Madison Masters of Science in Connected Systems Engineering, building on the Manufactured Innovation Program, and gives students the knowledge and skills necessary for careers in systems engineering, robotics, AI, and machine learning. And 5 programs from UW-Stout, a Master's of Professional Studies in Design, Entrepreneurship, and Sustainability, an online program to prepare leaders to help their companies implement and improve sustainable business practices, a Bachelor of Science in Physics, a BS in chemistry, a BS in biology that will elevate applied sciences and concentrations in more recognized degrees, and a Bachelor of Fine Arts in illustrations to take advantage of existing program offerings in the School of Art and Design and to meet growing demand in a creative economy. We approved a resolution presented by Associate Vice Presidents Amon and Passmore to continue the test optional admissions process in Region Policy Document 7-3. UW System Freshman Admission Policy, allowing all UW universities, including UW-Madison, to continue to use test optional admissions through summer 2027. This will allow time to research and understand the impact of the suspension on the full-time cohort of UW students who applied under a test optional policy and matriculated through to graduation, and to evaluate the regional and national landscape regarding testing. We then had a 5-year update on Student Behavioral Health Initiative. It was led by John Achter, Senior Director of Student Success and Wellbeing, Universities of Wisconsin, UW Superior's Director of Health, Counseling, and Wellbeing, Randy Barker, UW-Platteville's Director of Counseling, Desiree Desling, Director of Counseling Services, and Sandy Scott, Dean of Students and Senior Student Affairs Officer, UW-Stout. We learned about the implementation of suicide prevention training, mental health screening for athletes and others, support for behavioral intervention systems, cultural competency training, and the recent addition of third-party telehealth services, a development that was inconceivable in 2019. Panelists also shared pilot projects to address upstream issues, focus on building a culture of care, promoting connectiveness, teaching proactive skills to foster student resilience and well-being, which can reduce the need for more intensive downstream services. Finally, we had a brief overview of the Dual Enrollment Task Force report by Associate Vice President Davidson. The task force, with a strong participation from our K-12 partners, provide recommendations to expand college access, increase dual enrollment participation, especially among underrepresented groups, and get more of those students to matriculate at the UW. Regent President, this concludes my report. Therefore, I move for the adoption by the board of Resolution C1 through C8 and D.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you. Any discussion or questions? Regent Weatherly, I wonder if you could summarize the discussion we had yesterday with regard to how we let students know that we're offering dual enrollment and other things that we talked about.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of progress to be made on where we are with dual enrollment, and there's a lot of challenges. The report, I would encourage all the regions to read the report on dual enrollment. It is a difficult environment to navigate. We offer a number of systems. We offer concurrent enrollment. We offer access to taking classes on campus. And there's about 6 different ways that students can access credits in high school. However, right now, they're all nuanced and they're all complicated. I think part of what we see in the dual enrollment task force and things that we're working on is actually how do we streamline that and how do we communicate better to our intended participants, and how do we expand things like concurrent enrollment beyond just certain segments of our high school landscape.
So lots of opportunity there.
It is indeed going to be one of our main focuses for the coming years, I hope, for the Education Committee.
Great. Thank you, Regent Weatherly. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Regent Atwell, is that your hand in the air?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I'm sorry I didn't see before the vote. Please go ahead, though.
Yeah, I am opposed to the extension of the test optionality policy.
Okay.
So I want to express that. It was a COVID era policy that has been extended, and I think the rationale for its extension has passed. And I think that test scores, while they're certainly not the only thing that should matter, I think they do matter.
Okay. Recorded as a no for that vote. Regent Atwell?
Yes, thank you. No, yes, no vote. Yeah.
Unfortunately, you got to choose one. Okay. I think he said yes. Okay.
Yeah. I said no on the vote, yes to your question.
Oh, miss you, Bob. Thank you, Regent Weatherly. I'll now call upon Regent Manydeets to present a report of the CAP Planning and Budget Committee.
Thank you, Regent President Walsh. The most exciting committee in the system met ready to go yesterday, and we had 2 items to consider. The committee reviewed an update to, excuse me, I was so excited I skipped the first part of the 2 things we considered. First, on our consent agenda included construction of a storage garage at the Smexley Reserve, and I never can pronounce that, sale of a former dormitory parcel at UW-Milwaukee, and 7 all-agency projects located at the Universities of Wisconsin in Milwaukee, Madison, Stout, Stevens Point, and Whitewater. The committee then reviewed an update to Regent Policy Document 19-5, delegation of authority to remove unneeded structures. And those are most of the structures I attended class in up at Superior. No, it's supposed to be funny. To modify policy provisions to define the UW managed process as the second option for removing structures. This revision reflects the board's authority to manage capital projects more fully with gifts or grant funds. The current policy was written before the board had authority to solely manage capital projects. The recommended changes define the method for removing structures through the UW managed program and the approvals necessary to do so, as well as lists the basic process for building removal through the State Department of Administration. This item will be brought back for a vote later in the year. Next, the committee heard a presentation by our host University of Wisconsin-Platteville on the Pioneer Blueprint, a vision to support collaboration for the pioneers of today and tomorrow. That included a panel of speakers. The presentation started with an overview by Chancellor Vedovich on their guiding principles around capital investment and planning that support core curricular strengths, bolster student success, and decrease the operational and maintenance costs. This was followed by an intercampus collaboration option discussion by Dr. Richard Dianchud and student Sienna Isaacson regarding their nursing collaboration with UW-Stout. Next, Joel Hill and Quade Weigel gave an overview of the Physician Assistant Education Project recently completed and opened in partnership with UW-Madison. This was followed by a presentation by Jody Plumer and Jackie Spoo on the partnership with State Department of Transportation and the Wisconsin Concrete Products Association for the Highway Technician Certification Program. I've never heard anybody say they love concrete any more than those two. Senior Associate Vice President Alex Rowe gave an update on the 2025-31 capital budget process, which accumulates in a recommendation to this board in August. She also provided an overview of the types of buildings, their size and current value of our physical holdings. It's very interesting. Madam President, that concludes my report. I remove our resolution D1, D2, and D3.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the resolution, please say aye.
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 Cruiser opposed? Thank you very much. Resolution passes. Oh, it's a Friday, isn't it? Last month, the Universities of Wisconsin hosted our signature event and a personal favorite of mine, Research in the Rotunda at the state capitol. Today, we'll see a brief video recapping this wonderful event, but first, President Rothman would like to say a few words.
Good morning, everyone. This year marked the 20th anniversary of Research in the Rotunda, and I was delighted to see so many people at the Capitol. Research in the Rotunda is one of our premier events at the Universities of Wisconsin. Undergraduate research projects are a terrific way for students to gain hands-on experience by identifying a challenge and then using that innovative and creative thinking that they're learning at their universities, along with data and problem-solving skills to find solutions. Furthermore, it gives our undergraduate researchers the kind of experience, knowledge, and skills that will also make our students sought after by employers. That is all part of why we are committed as part of our strategic plan to give even more students the opportunity to participate in research experiences. I'd like to take a moment to thank our students who did terrific work, and particularly their faculty advisors, who are so proud of what their students have achieved. It's really fun to see the faculty watch their students do great work, and they are very proud of them and should be. And not only was their research of the students notable, but each of them served as great ambassadors of our universities to our state elected officials and agency heads who attended the event. So with that, and President Walsh indicated that we have a short video, and let's roll that right now.
This year's 20th anniversary Research in the Rotunda event includes about 100 research projects and nearly 160 student researchers. Research in the Rotunda is one of our favorite events at the Universities of Wisconsin, and there's a reason that it has been around for so long. It's a unique opportunity for our students and the faculty advisors who work so closely with them to showcase their research and how it connects to the real world challenges that we face.
Any good answer will have 10 or 15 more questions. And that's what these folks are doing. They're learning that process of inquiry, talking about the different angles, considering what to do with the results once you have them. And they're using the skills that they learn in the classroom to go to the next level.
And it's a great demonstration of how the Universities of Wisconsin can be a shining example of creative thinking, innovation, and entrepreneurial spirit that is so necessary to keep Wisconsin's economy and communities vibrant and strong.
It really means a lot to be able to be given an opportunity to do research like this. I never thought I would end up doing research during my college experience, so it really is just a great eye-opening experience.
They're going to be the problem solvers in the future, not only for the state of Wisconsin, but for the world.
And we really can and should all be proud and excited about the bright futures these students have ahead of them. And I'm going to put in a personal pitch. I hope most of them have those great futures right here in Wisconsin. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank a number of my team members on both our government relations team and our communications team for all of the hard work that they do to put together research in the Rotunda every year. And we certainly look forward to doing it again next year. So thank you, and back to you, President Walsh.
Thank you. And now it's time for one of our most enjoyable responsibilities as a board. That is the presentation of Regent Awards. Today, we present the 32nd Annual Regents Teaching Excellence Awards, which recognize outstanding faculty and instructional staff members in the universities of Wisconsin. To lead us in the awards presentation, excuse me, I will turn the floor over to the Chair of the Awards Selection Committee, Regent Chris Peterson.
On behalf of the Board of Regents, it is my pleasure to welcome our distinguished guests this morning, the recipients of the 2024 Regents Teaching Excellence Awards. We also welcome their families, friends, and colleagues. The Regents Excellence Awards, which marks its 32nd anniversary this year, recognizes and honors some of the UW system's most outstanding teachers, departments, and programs. This is the highest recognition bestowed by the universities of, oh, there you go. That's better. I have a loud voice, but not that loud. This is the highest recognition bestowed by the universities of Wisconsin on members of the faculty and instructional academic staff for outstanding career achievements in teaching. It's a welcome reminder of what a treasure we have in our faculty and academic staff. Those who bring that special dedication, creativity, and passion to their craft, and to whom we entrust the education and enlightenment of our citizens, helping students to achieve their fullest potential. Exceptional teachers have a transformational effect on their students, helping students imagine and create futures for themselves they previously may not have thought possible. This is especially noteworthy this year, as all our award recipients are teachers of future teachers. Perhaps each of you here today can recall such a person in your own life, someone who set you on a path to a fulfilling career or life calling. Mrs. Decker, 5th grade. As you are about to hear, we will get a glimpse of how our honorees have motivated their students and their colleagues, and even themselves, to venture further than they thought possible in their higher education journey. If anyone wants to learn a little more about our award winners, I invite you to check out their profiles on the Board of Regents website. I'd like to thank our fellow Regents on the selection committee, Regent Emeritus Dana Walks, Regent Mike Jones, Regent Jill Underly, and Regent Jill Underly. Regent Underly will help me present the awards this morning. All of today's award recipients are impressive examples of how the powerful impact that such excellent teachers can have on students' lives. We look forward to hearing from each of them in a few moments. Before we present this year's awards, however, I would like to acknowledge the other nominees by reading their names and institutions. Individual nominees included Karen Morris, UW-Eau Claire, Dr. James Cabral, UW Green Bay, Dr. Lindsay Steiner, UW-La Crosse, Dr. Prashant Sharma, UW-Madison, Dr. George Lee, UW Parkside, Dr. Melanie Ayers, UW-River Falls, Dr. Matthew Ray, UW-Stout, and Max White, UW-Whitewater. Program nominees included UW-Eau Claire's Math Department, UW-Platteville School of Business, UW-River Falls Plant and Earth Sciences Department, UW-Stevens Point English Education Program, and UW-Superior's Writing Program. On behalf of our committee, I want to thank all of the nominees for taking the time to submit the materials for their significant contributions. It's quite a process, and these materials that they get, and then we have a committee that goes over all of this and then sort of recommends to us. So there's a lot of work that goes into this, and we really thank everyone who takes the time to be part of this award. Regent Underly and I will now introduce this year's 3 award recipients. Each recipient will then have an opportunity to make brief remarks. I will present our first award. It is my privilege to present the first Regents Teaching Excellence Award to Dr. Donald Holmes, Professor of Teaching and Learning at UW-Oshkosh. Which one are you? Right there. Okay, good. Dr. Holmes is a professor of English as a second language, ESL, and bilingual education in the College of Education and Human Services. He has published studies about ESL teachers in the field, papers on how university faculty and public school teachers can collaborate to create better outcomes for ESL students, and guidance for educators to meet state standards for the K-12 curriculum. Dr. Holmes studies how immigrants and refugees in northeastern Wisconsin acquire English language skills. Currently, he leads an intern supervision program he created for English learners in Oshkosh and Menasha, called the New Voices Summer English Project. Dr. Holmes recently earned a substitute teaching license to substitute teach in high-need areas in Oshkosh area public schools. Further afield, he has led study abroad trips to Costa Rica and developed exchange programs for pre-service and in-service teachers from across the globe. During his career, he has taught more than 5,000 students at UW-Oshkosh. The majority have gone on to be teachers. The department chair says of our honoree, quote, Dr. Holmes' excellence shines through when he shows compassion for students in a difficult situation, gives his time mentoring students to keep them on a path to graduate, challenges the beliefs that students have about the U.S. education system in our courses, and when he engages UWO students in service learning experiences in our community, unquote. Please join me in congratulating our first award recipient for this year, Dr. Donald Holmes of UW-Oshkosh. Where is he? I'm sorry. That was waste. I had it off stage and the director.
That was the hardest part, setting up the photograph. All right. I want to say thank you very much. I really appreciate this. This is a great honor to be here. And good morning, everyone. Thank you to the Board of Regents. And I want to say thank you for the 27 years I've had at UW-Oshkosh. It's really been a good journey for me. And one of the things that has attracted me about teaching is that every day I go in, I get to learn something too. And I have learned so much from both working with my colleagues, but also working with my students. And it makes me excited to be there every day. I did not set out to be a teacher. That's not something I was interested in doing when I was young. I wanted to be an environmentalist, which I guess would have been a great career too. It's still very relevant, right? But I had a mother who was a teacher and 2 sisters and a brother who went into teaching as well. So I was surrounded by teachers, and yet there wasn't something that drew me. I do remember when my dad retired. He was an accountant. He never got a chance to go to college, but he was an accountant. And after he retired from accounting, he got invited to teach at a college. And he came back from his first day of teaching. It was a 3-hour session. And he said to my mom, man, I'm so tired. I can't believe how people can talk for 3 hours. How do they do it? And my mom said, you're doing too much of it. You got to let them do the work. You got to let the students do part of it. And At the time, I wasn't a teacher myself. I thought, okay, that's one way to think about it. What are the students? What part are they playing in it? I got into teaching by going abroad, and I worked in Spain, taught some English there, and again, from the very beginning, what I realized is that I was in a place where the students every day were sharing something with me about who they were, both who they were individually, but also about their place, about the place that was important for them, about their culture, about their language. And that was just real fascinating for me. And I think my journey into becoming a teacher of teachers who are working with English learners began there. I also have had a great pleasure over the years since being at Oshkosh in the fact that it is a community of refugee resettlements. I started there in 1997, and we had an established Hmong American community. And right from the beginning, I became introduced to several people in that community who always made me feel welcome in the things that they were doing in their different events, community events. And that has carried on over the years. More recently, we've had people coming from Syria, from Afghanistan, from different parts of Africa, Congolese diaspora, South Sudan. And all of these folks have continued to bring not only the many challenges and traumas that they've gone through just to get to the United States, but also a lot of the resourcefulness and knowledge that they bring, that again, making that connection between the students we have at University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh and these communities has been a really great benefit to me and always of interest to me. So that said, I finally want to just say a few words about the students that I work with. I'm really grateful for them as well. They have, and the majority, I'd not say majority, but probably a good percentage of them are first generation students. And they have just shown a lot of that hard work and just real interest in serving others that I always appreciate. It's not easy going into teaching. It's not an easy career to go into. There is a lot of pressure on the outside that's always coming in, and yet the fact that they're still focused on serving young people who really need it really impresses me. At the moment, right now, I have a group of 4 pre-service teachers in Oshkosh who are subbing for me and working with adult learners at Fox Valley Tech in Oshkosh. And I think that's just a great example of how beneficial it's been for me, not only to be able to work in a classroom at UW-Oshkosh, but to see students easily engaging with the community and continuing that learning outside as well. That said, again, I want to just thank my family. I want to say thank you to my wife, Petitions de Cifuentes, who's here today, also a teacher. And for all the people who have taught me along the way. And again, thank you for the Board of Regents for this award.
Good morning. I am honored to present our second Regents Teaching Excellence Award to Dr. Rebecca Stevens, Professor of English and Chair of the English Department at UW-Stevens Point. Dr. Stevens helms the English Education Program, which has a long-standing reputation for excellence. The program's graduates have a 100% placement rate. In addition, over the last decade, 5 have been awarded Outstanding Teacher of the Year by the Wisconsin Council of Teachers of English. As a teacher of future secondary English teachers, Dr. Stevens continually refines her understanding of pedagogical thinking. She wishes to teach students the most recent scholarship of teaching and learning to apply in their future classrooms, while also modeling the most effective and innovative teaching methods. As an example, each year she teaches a technologies for English education class. This class is now part of the senior English methods course block. It will soon be expanded to serve history and world language teaching majors. Dr. Stevens led the effort to transform women's studies into women and gender studies. She participated in workshops and conversations concerning key themes and pedagogical strategies for the courses. In 2015, she presented to the National Women's Studies Association Conference on threshold concepts in women's and gender studies for teaching and assessment. The assistant dean made this reflection about our honoree. Quote, Professor Stevens' teaching is most impactful in two areas: training of future English teachers in the use of instructional technology and exposing students to the core concepts in the area of women and gender studies. She excels in both and leaves lasting and positive impressions on all students, unquote. On that note, it is my privilege to introduce our second 2024 Regents Teaching Excellence Award recipient, Dr. Rebecca Stevens.
Thank you, Regent Underley, and to all the other regents on the awards committee for the time you invested in the award materials and for recognizing my work with this award. I am greatly honored. I have a rather unusual background for an English professor. My undergraduate degree is actually in accounting and computer information systems. I worked in the corporate world for a number of years before returning to graduate school in English. And I was miserable as an accountant. I really didn't enjoy the work of accounting. But the funny thing was, I was actually surprisingly good at it. The reason I was a good accountant was not because of my degree, but because I was an avid, lifelong, even voracious reader. The most important thing that reading taught me was how to consider multiple perspectives and how to look for different perspectives, even when something looked the same on the surface, whether that surface was a number or a character in a book. And it is this idea that influences my conception of good teaching even today. How to help students weigh and engage with many different perspectives, and how to make connections with others' experiences, especially when those perspectives and experiences are different than their own. In English education, we talk about choosing texts and activities that provide both windows and mirrors. Mirrors are those readings that reflect back a student's experience and let them know that others share that experience, and then ideally see how their commonalities with others can empower them to make larger connections with the world. This might be something like asking a class to write about their experience during the pandemic, then reading the digital archives housing other college students' experiences, and then researching ways to resolve problems that arise from this collective, widespread trauma of that period. Or it might be simply choosing to include novels in a course that shows students that they're not alone, whether that sense of singularity has come from being the first in their family to attend college or from being the only out gay student in their rural Wisconsin high school. Windows, on the other hand, are texts and activities that give us a glimpse into another's experience that may be vastly different than our own. A student in my American literature class in 2024 will never be an African-American single mother living in Harlem in 1944. But by reading Ann Petrie's novel, The Street, they can get some inkling of what it was like to have to deal with redlining, sundown towns, and job opportunities that were explicitly segregated by race and gender. Reading and discussing works like this that provide windows into others' lives helps develop empathy and understanding, qualities that are needed more than ever in our world today. In good teaching, connections don't stop with choosing text and creating assignments. Though this is an individual award, I wouldn't be here without the help of many others. Administrators like the Assistant Dean of the UWSP School of Humanities and Global Studies, Tobias Barsky, and the previous English Department Chair, Michael Williams, enabled me to teach classes that I thought were important because they agreed that programs like Women's and Gender Studies served a crucial need. My colleagues in the English department, especially those in the English education program, have always been there to talk through teaching problems and help me find solutions that enabled me to teach with integrity and compassion. I am also fortunate to come from a family of teachers who all live in houses full of books. I'd like to mention one particular relative, my Uncle Mark, since I had to miss his funeral in order to be here today. As a high school English teacher of almost 40 years, my uncle's willingness to share teaching advice and stories, leavened always by his sense of humor and kindness, still helps shape how I work with pre-service English teachers today. Finally, I couldn't be a good teacher without my students. There have been times after an exhausting day or week when I wondered if I should perhaps make another career change. And then I think about the bravery my students show in their willingness to engage with difficult ideas. And I can't imagine another job that would be so meaningful. Their willingness to talk about hard issues with sensitivity and respect for each other gives me immense hope for all of our futures. And I am grateful for that every single day. Thank you again.
I'm back. I am honored to present our third award for this year, which recognizes the outstanding teaching of a department or program. And that honor goes to the Special Education Department at UW-Whitewater. The Special Education Department has prepared special educators for more than 50 years, responding to continually challenging needs. It is the only department of its kind in the university system, providing services for students with disabilities and supporting their families. Chaired by Dr. Amy Stevens, the department has evolved through weekly instructional reflections, bi-weekly teaching topics, fieldwork programming team, and curricular mapping. High impact practices, also described as active learning, include community-based learning, internships, international field experiences, student research, and writing. Recruitment, retention, and graduation rates are exceptionally high. For example, retention of underrepresented minority students exceeds all other majors in the College of Education and Professional Studies. The post-graduation employment rate is 100% for both undergraduate and graduate students who report working in their field after graduation. One of the department's unique programs is LIFE, Learning for Everyone. Learning is for everyone, providing a 2-year college experience for young adults between the ages of 18 to 25 with an intellectual disability. The LIFE program is recognized as a comprehensive transition and post-secondary program by the U.S. Department of Education. The interim dean observed this about the program, quote, "I am regularly contacted by administrators from pre-K 12 schools in our region. They reach out to praise us for how well we prepare our teacher candidates. And something I hear quite regularly is how well prepared these teacher candidates are in the areas of classroom and behavioral management and in assessment," unquote. It is an honor to present our Regents Teaching Excellence Program Award to the Special Education Department at UW-Whitewater, being accepted on the department's behalf by its chair, Dr. Amy Stevens.
Come up, Rowan.
Yeah. What? Oh. Woo-hoo.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. Good morning. I first want to congratulate the other award winners, Donald Holmes and Rebecca Stevens, for the recognition of the Teaching Excellence Award. I find it inspiring to read their descriptions and all the important work that they're doing, and I feel honored that our department is included with them in the award winners of this year. The Department of Special Education would also like to thank Provost John Chenoweth, who made our nomination for this award consideration. And we'd also like to thank Dean, not interim dean anymore, but Dean, Lana Collette Klingenberg, for her support of our nomination and for her support of all the crazy ideas that we come up with. The danger of giving us this award today is that Dr. Stewart and I came out last night and outlined 3 new certificate plans as we were laying in bed. So we got more things coming your way, Lana. We'd also like to thank the UW Board of Regents, and specifically Regents Chris Peterson, Mike Jones, Jill Underly, and Dana Walks for recognizing the innovative and dedicated work of the special education programs at UW-Whitewater. We feel honored to receive this award and recognition, and we feel honored to represent the College of Education and Professional Studies and UW-Whitewater. Our program is at a very special place in time right now. I think 10 years ago, we probably would not have been worthy of this award. We were very dedicated at that time, and we really believed in educating our students. But something has happened in about the last 10 years in our department, and we just have a fantastic group of colleagues, and we work as a team, truly a team, to bring out these new innovative programs. So we've metamorphosized really over the 20 years that I've been at UW-Whitewater. We're forward thinking. We don't wait to be told to do something. We really try to look to the field of special education and education in general and say, what is it that we need? What do teachers need right now? So some examples of this are, we've come out of the pandemic, and that was incredibly hard on public school teachers. And in response to this, our department has collaborated with Counselor Ed to create 2 new certificate programs, one for administrators who want to impact their schools in addressing trauma-informed care at the systems level, and also one that's geared towards educators. This, I don't think, would have happened 10 years ago. No, we didn't have the pandemic then either. Our level of professional respect for each other and the synergy that we have that we've created by remaining committed to working collaboratively and in person with each other helps us come up with these cool and different ideas. It also helps us evolve and be creative in problem solving. To do this, we utilize the department 1-3-5-year strategic plan. I don't know of many departments that do this, but it really has helped us stay focused on what we think that the field needs.
We also have 2 articulated mission statements for our department. So for the undergraduate programs, we seek to prepare for professionals to become agents of change who use evidence-based practices and critical thinking to support individuals with disabilities and their families. We don't just want to prepare teachers. We want to prepare people that go out and change the field and make the field better for kids, all kids, but especially kids with disabilities, and for their profession. So our graduate programs, we are guided by the mission of having an intersectional lens in preparing leaders to move their fields forward using evidence-based practices that support individuals with disabilities. In both the undergraduate and graduate programs, we strive to develop professionals who are actively seeking to improve the field of special education and other related professions. Other professions like elementary education, counselor education, social work, and language and speech pathology and school psychology. All these programs do take our courses. I'm sure you've noticed that evidence-based practice is present in both of the mission statements. As a foundation, we provide programs that are supported by research and focus on new and reinforced knowledge and skills. Keeping current to the changing needs of our field, this occurs through the joint leadership of senior faculty, a few of whom are Dr. Stewart and Robinson, and also Dr. Schultz, and by bringing in new faculty and instructors into our program that have very different ideas than the people who are present. Some of these people are Drs. Courtney Wilt and Lauren Zepp. Although I mentioned only a few of these faculty in our department, the reality is that everybody deserves recognition in our program. We all bring something to the table. We all have a high level of respect for each other, and we all try to be creative in how we approach our profession every day. So I think I can speak for all of our faculty and instructors when I thank you for giving us this recognition and giving us this little moment in the spotlight. It means a lot to our program. So we thank you.
Well, that's an impressive group of award winners, and we're so privileged that you are all able to come. And I want to add my congratulations to all of you. It's lovely. Well, I would like to again thank Chancellor Ravedovich and her team for their tremendous hospitality during our time here. And I'm now going to call upon Regent Underly to return to the mic to read our resolution of appreciation to UW-Platteville pioneers.
Good morning again. Whereas the members of the Board of Regents are pleased to recognize the University of Wisconsin-Platteville as the official host campus for the board's April 2024 meeting, and are grateful for the generous hospitality extended this month by Chancellor Tammy Ravedovich and the entire Pioneer community. And whereas the board appreciated hearing Chancellor Ravedovich's presentation about pioneering forward together, UW-Platteville students' educational journey, highlighting the university's role for the past 150 years, enriching this rural region and providing a critical access point to education for generations of families. And whereas the Education Committee thanks Interim Provost Wayne Weber and all the students who gave testimonials about the benefits of UW-Platteville's commitment to hands-on learning opportunities and student success. And whereas the Business and Finance Committee members heard from Chris Patton, Vice Chancellor for Administration and Finance, about how UW-Platteville is chartering a sustainable financial future, discussing the financial turnaround and cultural transformation occurring through implementing sound financial and budget practices, increased accountability, and a renewed commitment to rowing together. And whereas the members of the Capital Planning and Budget Committee learned how UW-Platteville is following the Pioneer Blueprint, a vision to support collaboration for the pioneers of today and tomorrow, as part of the campus master plan, responding to workforce needs and supporting statewide centers of excellence to build a stronger Wisconsin and tri-state economy. And whereas the board was delighted to receive student-led tours of UW-Platteville's new sesquicentennial hall, seeing up close the impressive Innovation Center, accessible green roof, exposed building infrastructure, and several teaching laboratories that are transforming education for pioneer students. Be it therefore resolved that the Board of Regents hereby commends UW-Platteville for its informative presentations, forward-thinking spirit, and many continued contributions to the universities of Wisconsin and to the entire state.
I also want to give a shout out to the folks that planned this week. I'm sure many of you noticed how many signs there were with red arrows everywhere. As soon as someone said that, which way, you couldn't even get the rest of the question out of your mouth, because either there was a sign right in front of you or a wonderful group of students in orange vests that really made us feel welcome and at home here. So I just wanted to give a shout out to your folks. All right, before we move into closed session, do any regents have communications, petitions, or memorials to share? I do have one. I want to acknowledge the recent passing of former Chancellor Linda Bunnell, who led UW-Stevens Point from 2004 to 2009. A Texas native, Linda was conducting research and writing a book project in Waco, Texas at the time of her death. She was 81. We share our condolences to her friends and family. At this time, the board would like to recognize and thank a higher education colleague for service to the state. Last month, Morna Foy, president of the Wisconsin Technical College System for more than a decade, announced her upcoming plans to retire. During her tenure, the universities of Wisconsin and WTCS signed new transfer agreements that have changed the landscape for college students in Wisconsin, providing additional opportunities and pathways to a college degree. As our two systems continue to work together to build for the future, we thank Morna for her service and offer her best wishes in retirement. And also we offer Regent Tyler a wish of good luck in your search.
Thank you.
All right, thank you much. That concludes our open session. Regent Bogus, would you read the motion to move into closed session?
Yes, thank you, President Walsh. I move that the Board of Regents move into closed session to consider personal histories related to the naming of facilities at UW-Madison and UW-La Crosse as permitted by section 19.85, parent 1, parent F of Wisconsin statutes. Consider personal histories related to UW-Stout honorary degree nominations as permitted by section 19.85, parent 1, parent F of Wisconsin statutes. Consider performance evaluations for chancellor permitted by section 1984. Parent 1, parent C, Wisconsin statutes, and consider pay plan compensation adjustments for the UW assistant president chancellors as permitted by section 19.85, parent 1, parent C, Wisconsin statutes.
Thank you. Regent Adams, Regent Atwell.
Yes.
Thank you. Regent Bogus,
Yes.
Regent Frankus, Regent Cologne.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
The challenge is also.
Sorry, Regent Goida.
Here.
Thank you. Regent Jones, Regent Cruiser.
Yes.
I'd like to say thanks.
Yes.
Okay. Peterson.
Yes.
Regent Prince.
Yes.
Regent Rye. Regent Trainer, Regent Tyler,
Here. Okay.
Regent Underley. Regent Walsh. And Regent Wetherly.
Yes.
Thank you.
Officially lost so